Okay, here we are. We're back for part 2 of this Softar effect. What I want to do at this point is, why don't we go ahead and create a flexible version of this Softar filter. And what I mean by that is what we'll do is instead of just running a regular filter on this, we'll actually convert our duplicated layer to a smart object, if you will, and then we'll have continuous editability of that filter effect for as long as we keep everything in multiple layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new action out of here. So I'm going to click on this little guy here and call it Softar Effect. And instead of being the basic one, I'm going to call it Smart Filter. Boom, Smart Filter. And again, I'm going to give it a blue color and click record. So as we did last time, the first thing we need to do is we need to duplicate this layer here. So Command J to duplicate the layer. I'm going to double click on this. I'm going to call it Softar Effect. Okay, now what I'm going to do is convert this for smart filters. In essence, what it's doing is it's creating a smart object out of this. Now, when I go under Filter, go to Other, go to High Pass, and bring in the 9 value and click OK. Okay. Notice that we now have this area down here, which is a layer mask, if you will, for the filtering effect and all that kind of stuff. And let's just do this. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change this over to soft light, and you can see that it turning the eyeball visibility of the high pass layer itself, okay, on and off, will give us that. If I come over to our smart filter and click on this, you can see how it's starting to affect things a little bit differently. Yes, exactly. And then if we were to come over here and double click on this phrase here, high pass, we can actually come in and change the numbers. Changing the numbers will in essence change the sharpening value at this point in the game. Okay, now remember what I said, all right, that the high pass filter effect that we're doing here is in essence sharpening our image, and we need to reverse that. So let's go over to the adjustment layer icon, and we're going to grab the invert icon here, and now what we're going to do is we have now inverted everything that this adjustment layer saw, and everything that it saw was this Softar Effect layer, high pass layer, and all the filtering that goes through, part of that, all the smart object thing, but also it's seeing this down here. And all we want to do is inverse or reverse, invert, whatever you want to call it, this layer here. We want to take that value of sharpening and reverse it to a value of softening. And the way we do that is we clip this to this. So in other words, the invert process is only going to be contained within the sharpening layer. So with the invert layer as your currently active component in the layers panel, go over to the layers menu and choose create clipping group. Now this invert is only directly related to this guy here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the shift key and click on this, and then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to choose new group from layers, and Softar Effect, and I'm going to click OK. Now this is identical to what we did in the last one. The only difference is we made this a smart filter. All right, so now if I wanted to reduce the effects of this filter, in, say, the eyes, maybe, and on the jewelry, maybe, or something along those lines, what we could possibly do. And there's a couple of ways we can approach this. One is that on this folder, we could apply a layer mask. And by doing so, nothing has changed at this point. But if we were to come over here and grab a paintbrush and switch our colors around so we have black, and if I was to come in here and start painting with 20% black and just on the eyes, a little bit there. So if I just come in and do a little stroke there, do a little stroke there, and then possibly just do a little stroke there, and then come over and make the brush size a little bit, and tap, tap, and a little bit smaller and down like that, and maybe a little thing like this. All right, so I've gone and created a little bit of a mask on here. And if I wanted to show you exactly what the mask looks like, I just hold down the Option key and I click on the mask thumbnail icon, and there's our mask, and it's just this little bit that is pulling back on that soft focus effect. And that's good, that could work, absolutely. Want to see the difference? Let's see if we can. I can temporarily disable the mask by holding down the Shift key and clicking on this, and if you look in the eyes, you can see that there is definitely a subtle difference. Absolutely. Okay, so that's one way to go about doing that, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. What I may want to do is just come over here at this point in time and just try to soften that up just ever so slightly by coming over here and giving it a very slight amount of Gaussian blur. Let's just see how much I can actually blur that by clicking on this and that, and then bringing that up to, say, maybe, let's go to 5, just for round numbers. All right, and so now I'm blurring the transitional edge of that, and there you go, we've got it. I'm going to Option click on that again, and just to show you the before and the after of this layer mask. There it is, there. All right, very, very subtle, and to see the difference between the original image that came out of the camera and the effect is there. And I don't know about you, but as they say at McDonald's, I'm loving it. Thanks a lot. In the next portion of this video, or the next video that goes in this series, all right, we're going to talk about how we can actually get a more sophisticated drawing, rendering, whatever it is, inside that layer mask. Okay, we'll see you in the next round.